Welcome to Channel AMAC, your insight to the Australian visa system. Good day everyone, my name is Carl Young, your online YouTube visa consultant. Are you interested about my great to Australia? Why don't you consider to subscribe to my channel and turn on a little bell on the side, so once we have all the updates and news, you'll be the first one of getting all the insight. Now it's an exciting week, isn't it? A lot of people might already receive a lot of invitation for the general skill migration under the subclass of 1A9 this week. Well, fantastic. Now, from our information, I know that it's mostly medical and some other professions. Not many ICT are being invited though, but it's still exciting because there's a lot more excitement going on as the federal government has finally, I think they have finally giving out some quotas to the state and territory government in order for them to actually release and start inviting skilled migrants. Well, despite over the past few months there has been invitation going on, but it's not as many as we expected. I suspect that the federal government wanted to have a full control of all the invitations going on, as the all the state and territory do have their own criteria, which is different to what the federal government wants. And also the federal government does also know about the backlog and delay, so they wanted to utilize the power just to unify, so no longer require the state and territory to assess all the criteria, because that actually create more backlog. You know, think about having two stages, having a state and territory government assessing your profile, and then large invite and the federal government assess again. Obviously that's you know, redundant. So I think how the federal government is actually doing now to actually help the skill shortage in Australia is taking a whole lot by themselves. But I think towards early next year, the first quarter, so the first 3 months, a lot of things will get back to the norm. But anyway, it's a good news for everybody if you are in the skill migration section there. Now, before we go into those details and looking into those numbers of different the federal government website, and also the excitement coming on from New South Wales, bear in mind just to watch till the end. But let's have a look of some news that we actually had received this week. So this came out on the 9th of December, just a few days. I think today's that's actually yesterday anyway, so today's the recording of this video is on the 10th of December. So this came out yesterday on the 9th. So what's the topic talking about? The so Home Affairs Minister Clownell warns she won't consider permanent residency for 70,000 illegal workers living in Australia. So a lot of people were expecting the government of Australia to do something like what they have done in US, where they legalize the illegal and unlawful stays and workers in the nation. So unfortunately, Australia doesn't. That's not the taste of what Australian government really like to do. And I don't know how this actually came out on the news and media. Australia as a government has never really done such a thing in the past, but it was little bit of stuff that I wanted to show you. But if you're thinking about working illegally in Australia, it's likely you get caught one day and then be sent back home, and I don't think it's likely to get invited or be able to grant a visa further in the future as well. So you know, don't do that. And just one thing, that Australia is totally different than USA. Now moving to the excitement of the skill migration, let's check out the most recent information that the government of Department of Home Affairs has actually released. They have, I think this was done we have talked about this a couple of months ago when they the budget and the job and skills summit. So migration program planning level, but they do have further information here. They have a little bit of a comparison of the graph that we can. Let me just move that into the middle so you can see. Although the word, but you can actually search this. What do? You go to Google and you punch in migration program planning level, so you'll be able to land yourself into this web page. So it's a comparison of the 2 year. As you can see, it's quite clear that the 2021-22 and compared to 2022 and 23 planning level. So if we read from bottom up, you can see the changes from the total numbers of quota from 160,000 up to 195,000, and the big changes here is the skill. So the family, they have dropped about 30,000, around 30,000, and they have increased huge number, almost double, which is, as you can see, it was back in 2020. That was the former government held by Scott Morrison and team. 79,600 for all the skill migration, but obviously I create a lot of backlog because that's not enough. So they almost double it. It's 142,400 placements for the skill migrants. That covers employment sponsors, skill independent, regional, state nomination, business innovation and investment, and global talent and distinguished talents. The only differences here that we can see major is that they have dropped the numbers decreased the number for the investment visa and also for the global talent. Now, a lot of people were in GTI section, they were worried. I would say, look, they have averagely about accepting those 5,000 to about 5,000 to 7,000. But what's gonna come up for next year probably will be a little bit of increase. They just wanted to resolve the backlog happening up here for the employment sponsor and also the skill migration sector. And let's look at the states. There's also differences here as well. Again, bear in mind, this is for 2022 and 20, well, for sure, but it's more for the planning to actually reduce the backlog. So as you may know, the most numbers of backlog will be the big states. For example, New South Wales and Victoria. Look at that, 11,500. Okay, and the rest of the other state, Queensland 3,000. So seems to be Queensland has been managed quite well. There's not much of a backlog. This number actually reflects to the backlog is happening in those states and territories. So it does not reflect to the economy needs at this point in time, I believe, because to have Western Australia more quota than Queensland, it's just weird. It doesn't make any sense. But I think it's more towards the backlog, what's happening over there, and also that relates to how many graduates, how many skill required over there. Now that's basically what we are looking at here, and the state for the whole 190 visa is 36,283. 491 is 25,333, and the business innovation, unfortunately, very limited. But how would that 810 meet towards the what's that? The up here about 5,000. So as you can see, and also if we're looking at the current the regional and the state nomination, there's about 60,500 placements there. But if we go down here, there's only about the meeting about the right mark there. But what's happening in the business innovation, 810, but isn't that there's 5,000 placements there? Where's the rest of the 4,000 something? Don't know, but I think it's coming up. That's due to the adjustments coming up from the federal government. Okay, anyway, that will be shortly released, I believe. Oh, well, before Christmas maybe, but perhaps in the coming new year. Okay, now last but not least, New South Wales. Well, it's a big news now. when I first see this page, I don't feel any changes because it still have that New South Wales skill list here. Can you see that there? So if I click this, it's basically getting me to that crazy skill occupation list. Well, again, finance manager with the points 110 required. But if we read it carefully, let's have read. Okay, skill nomination visa subclass 190. The federal government retains ultimate responsibility. Well, whatever, they're just throwing responsibility back to the federal government. Okay, anyway, the second paragraph, the federal government provides New South Wales government a limited number of positions. Well, limited, really? But they're giving out how many? How many? Ooh, let's have a look. New South Wales 9,808 plus 491 6,168. That's not limited compared to Queensland. Or what about Northern Territory? What about the business innovation? Anyway, let's continue reading. Oops. Okay. Now, the third paragraph is the key. Now, what does it say? Let me probably just magnify that a little bit more. But anyway, you may find this page your own by Google it. It says previous published points score, meaning that skill list down here, and work experiences guide for skill nominated subclass 190 have been removed due to increased availability of a skill independent visa subclass 189 by Department of Home Affairs. So what does that mean? What does that mean? Now that's really weird. If it's been removed, why is it still down here? Now probably they haven't really updated the information up here, but what they're trying to say is because there has been a lot of 189 visa being issued, invitation has been issued, so there's not much of a competition going on for the 190. So in order for New South Wales, the state government New South Wales, to be more competitive, they decided to remove the previous point score and experience guide for skill nominated 190 has been removed. So that means this skill list has been removed. Does that mean they are going to be as the same as how the state government of Victoria does? Basically, there's no more occupation list. Because we read this, the basic eligibility says to be considered of this, you need to meet the requirement of Home Affairs. That's pretty sure. And the second part is you need to be an occupation that is under the New South Wales skill lists and be eligible for the visa. And the rest is, currently residing in New South Wales or offshore continuously due to minimum of a period 6 months and submitted EOI. But up here it reads previous published point score. Where does it publish? There's only one place publishing it, is that skill list there, and the work experiences talked about in this skill list for the subclass 190 visa have been removed. Wow. Okay. Interesting. Anyway, look, for my view of this, I really wanted to see how this whole web page from New South Wales being accurately updated. I noticed there has been a change and reinserting those 3 paragraphs on the top there, but why is it still showing basic eligibility down there? Now, I'm not trying to criticize. I did it before, and New South Wales government even wrote an email to me saying that they're going to do a changes in October, but they didn't do anything until just now. But is this change fully? Are they actually matching what the Victoria government is actually doing? Perhaps because they have seen just too many people. They don't want to get New South Wales invitation anymore. They're just trying to get 189 anyway. Anyway, I don't know what's going to happen, but all of this phenomenon is all good news for all the skilled migrants for Australia. Anyway, should you have more question, query, more than welcome to leave comment right down below. I see you next time. Goodbye.